Hello and welcome into the Sorare Spotlight. I'm Andrew Laird. You can find me as Lairdino on Sorare. Joined today by the person I had on the very first Sorare Spotlight, the Sorare content goat himself, Quinny 3001. Sir, it's been 2 days since I've talked to you. How's it been?
Hi, not too bad. And then wait for a bus, and then a few come at the one time, don't they?
It's I was thinking just that. I was like, man, we haven't streamed in a while. And Friday we weren't even supposed to. I just sent you a link in the middle of my stream and you were like, yeah, I'll come on. And then of course, 2 days later, here we are.
This very much does feel like work, but compared to Friday.
There we go. Exactly. We got the corporate attire on today because we're on the Sorare channel itself. Thanks everyone for coming in on YouTube and Twitch. Let's see who we got here. We got Sean first up, Sorare Soul, and Mike Baston on the podium. Congratulations to you three. Sam, what's up? Philly Dilly. EPL is 11 game weeks complete out of 38, barely over a quarter through the season, not yet a third through, plenty of time left. That's going to be part of what we're talking about today. Is it pivot season? You heard it here first. Oh, how about that? And Mike was the one, Quinny, who was like, you should have Quinny on for this. And he was right.
I watched it back afterwards, and then I kind of forgot that I came into it because I was just listening, and then I was like, "Oh, there he is." He said, "Aye," and I was like, "Oh yeah, that was me."
That was it. Ryan said, "Formal business attire equals the Sorare hoodie. Where do I apply?" I don't know why I didn't put mine on. I'm tempted to go get mine now. Maybe we'll see. Anyway, Quinny, I did a show. I don't think it was last week, maybe a couple weeks ago on this channel about how it was never too late to start playing Sorare 26 because I was like, with the way streaks are, you're not necessarily competing with everybody else. So you're not all behind on XP and you can like win XP and use that. And then all of a sudden we get a double up promo that's like, hey, level up your cards right away so you can catch up. And there was kind of a little bit of a pushback from people who did start early. And they're like, wait, I don't want people to catch up on me, but I think it's pretty clear. It's hard to like truly catch up this far, but I wanted to talk, or at least hear your opinion on that to start today, but also basically this idea of when is the right time to kind of expand on what you play, if there is ever a time, and what the process is of like how you choose what to play at that point. So have you started any new competitions at all recently? Oh, yeah. Oh, there we go.
Sorry, we were slightly a bit distracted there. I've had a lot going on in the background here. Apologies.
No worries.
But if you could just finish off the question, but I was with you all the way there. But just what bit you send into me? Sorry.
It was basically like, have you started any new like competitions on Sorare recently? And if you have, like, what made you do that? Basically.
So yeah, well, that's actually perfectly timed for me. Because like so I've been saving up my essence a little bit, and like long one short, I've been playing with my champion cards. I've only been using them in classic. I've not had any champion in season at all, and I kind of focused my in season on Challenger, Celtic, and everything that's came off the back of that. But I've been very open to kind of similar to what I've did in the past with super rares, where like if I can just organically build a team across the season, then I'll try and do that. The complication that came with champ that's maybe slowed me down this year is that there isn't a champion season.
Yeah.
So you kind of need to like you kind of need to know what lane you're going to get in. So I crafted a Lucaba in season maybe about 6 weeks ago. And I flirted with the idea of selling it, and I thought, there's no rush for the most part. I can still use it, put them into some classic teams, which might be sacrilegious to maybe some people in the chat, who knows. But I played that in-season card in Classic for a few times. And I'd saved up some essence but coming into this international break, and I pulled 2 Bundesliga cards, and I played a playing Liga 1 goalkeeper, or soon to be not playing, Philip Cohen of Monaco, destined for the bench again. So with the Julian Brandt and the Svanberg that I won, I thought, well, put them next to Lucaba, a classic goalkeeper that I've got, and we've basically just about got a team going on there. So I made the decision then at that point, well, if I trade the Cohen, even if I trade the Cohen for an outfielder, a goalkeeper, whatever, but if I can trade that into a Bundesliga, then I've got I really do have the platform to add another player or 2 on, and then let's go for streak 1. So I've recently taken up Bundesliga Rare.
Did you did that happen faster than you expected in terms of like winning enough to start competing in season?
I would say slower
Oh,
because
okay.
I expected to craft more than I have this year. I've had because my strategies are always quite linear. Like I'm not like got JPL in season, Eredivisie in season, to go and hoover up all this essence to then craft with.
Yeah.
So if I have a bad weekend, like nothing comes my way. 800 essence, 500 essence, something
Yeah.
very not useful, which is why the saving up strategy kicks in. So I think early season I expected my classics to do a bit better, although I have been quite happy with how they've done. I've actually won some cards off the leaderboard in
Mhm.
D1 All Star, which has been nice when it's happened. So yeah, I would say slower because I think coming into this season, I thought SO7 classic, the amount of galleries collections I've got in the gallery. I should have a team or two that hits big every weekend was probably my pre-season like feeling. Like, yeah, I should, multi-entry this well enough for the most part. But even when that has happened, I've not maybe caught the big wins enough, or I've maybe not had enough teams just like do okay, where you can just scramble together like 2,000 essence in a weekend because you didn't DNP anywhere, your captains were mainly right, no goalkeepers killed you a weekend. So I've not really, slower.
So I think part of it is just the way that the classic competitions are set up, that they're because because they don't mirror anymore. Like as you play champ and you're like, all right, I won a few Bundesliga cards, and it's like, oh, and then I have this Liga on goalie, and it's like, I don't really need that one. And obviously, All Star, you can win anything. And so I don't think I came in with any expectation of being able to turn my classic winnings into in seasons quickly, and maybe just because I've just haven't been overly confident with my classic cards, but and frankly, I was more confident in being able to craft, or at least with enough clues and everything to be able to craft cards that would be helpful, not necessarily win them straight out, but I kind of had that problem, just what you talked about before. Like if you only focus on classic, the amount of essence you win is it's not that much each game week. And so you're just kind of like, it's a true grind. And I tried to like make up for it with arena, but even then it's like, you're still using essence in order to get essence. And so you have to be, I think arenas have gotten a lot sharper over the last 2-3 months, so that early season, it felt like if you had 5 starters, like you were going to win. And now we're seeing some decent scores that you need in order to actually win some essence. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've gone not necessarily the opposite route of expecting to win my way in, but I kind of built up a balance at the end of like basically the second half of last season that I held on to, and was like, all right, I'm going to use that when the season kicks off. And I basically just didn't. I bought like a couple here and there, but I basically had been waiting to spend the money, and now I'm starting to spend it. And I don't think it's necessarily because I was like, oh, I've maxed out this, because I have 4 League One in season limited lineups. And it's like, all right, where do I want to go from here? And I started a little challenger and did eventually buy some contender, but it wasn't necessarily because I maxed out what I was trying to do. It was just like I was waiting to spend, and now is when I'm trying to spend it. And I don't know if it's right, if it's right or wrong, but I feel like I'm basically starting the season in November for a lot of these competitions, and I don't feel like I'm that far behind, because at least on the limited level, I'm competing for streaks, and just feel like I should be able to get enough from now until like May's a long time from now. I'm sure it'll feel like March and April like that, but it just feels like Philly Dilly was saying before, 11 of 38 game weeks in the Prem is, we're just getting started.
Yeah, totally. It does feel like a lot of people are thinking that we're like halfway through the season already, maybe because of the amount of international breaks we've had. But yeah, it's nowhere near the case, like in terms of how much of the season has gone. And maybe a bit of that is like pricing, because it's quite easy now to, a lot of the pre-season, early season, elevation of prices and streaks and double ups and promos and all that is kind of, just came to its natural kind of conclusion. We're in the ebb and flow of the actual season now.
Yeah.
And like, for example, with the Bundesliga stuff I did there, like if I hadn't won the Lukeba, I probably wouldn't have done this. You kind of need a card like that. I think that's like, he's not a great captain, but I could captain him, and
He's been
like,
really good.
yeah, it was fine enough, probably, wouldn't it? But guys like just below him, you can get quite affordably at rare. I would say at limited even more so, obviously. And at that stage, like the general value proposition of the streaks and the leaderboards isn't changed. Also there's promos at the beginning that were different and whatever. But getting some of these guys in out, if you really, because again at this point of the season, like the players you buy are so much better because we are 11 games in. We know who's in form. We know who the manager likes. We know who's struggling this season, who's overperforming. So now buying that guy, you could just, there's a lot more known quantity around everyone now at this time of the year. You also still get injury and stuff to navigate, but besides that, like there's not really much guesswork left with who's going to be the guy at a club or a league.
It's funny. Somebody commented last week. I can't remember which stream it was, but it was basically like everything's set now. Maybe it was even Harry who said it, but he was like, everything's set now, so we don't have to like make a whole lot of changes. And I think it was actually in the conversation about how there are like how we're really high on the mint counts already for basically super rare and rare, and I guess limited is well. It just feels like with limited we're like, wow, we're really high, but we also have like hundreds of cards left for each player. But it kind of did get me thinking, like how much, now that I've kind of established at least myself in Liga 1 and kind of Bundesliga Challenger recently, it's like, how much do I think I'll actually adjust in those competitions as opposed to branching out? And Sean said this before. I was literally the opposite of Quinny, spread across multiple comps and adding players depending on which division and streak level I'm on. I do think that streak level basically is going to decide whether I buy cards in the competitions I actively play right now, like from now on. And I don't know, like I don't play La Liga, I don't play Prem, and that might be it in terms of in season. And like Challenger and Liga 1, I have 4 lineups. Bundesliga, I only have 3. And Contender is the one that's a little weird for me because I've been playing like River Plate and like all of the Argentina cards until now. Their season's basically wrapping up. I bought two Bundesliga stacks or collections that I think I'm going to try to play. But for the most part of the ones that I filled up, like I don't know if I'm going to end up just staying here and just saying like, all right, this is what I'm going to do. Or I'm kind of branching out into super rare a little bit for Ligue 1, but that can only go so far with the prices.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. I just, I wonder how many people are in that boat of, I'm really not going to make that many changes from now on. And really the only big changes you can make is adding to the list that you're going to play. Like if I've bought dozens, probably hundreds of cards at this point for Sorare 26 limited. Like I said, I don't play La Liga. I don't play Prem. And so I wonder if there will be a point where I'm just like, all right, I'll play La Liga. But then I'm not just, you're not going to go out and just buy 5 cards. Like you have to buy a lot. And that's really what I keep thinking about is like, at what point do I think I will expand beyond what I'm playing versus just kind of adding to what I have?
I think card wins are the biggest thing that open doors in that sense, because if you are going to play La Liga, it's probably going to be off the back of crafting Bellingham or Pedri or something like that. And you go, okay, well, getting the average price squad, say it's £40 a card at rare, a tenner at limited, putting the squad around that guy is very feasible very quickly. If it's the opposite, like if you win a tier 3 50 reliable centre back from Espanyol, you're not going to go brilliant. Let's go buy Pedri. Like,
yeah.
That's me. I'm in. So I think it's normally that. I also think it's quite. I think it's individually it kind of reveals your own appetite for the game, because like with Challenger, for example, like that was my main strategy for buying in-season cards for all the promos and all the everything's in terms of going after streaks for the season ahead with Celtic, and then I've kind of eventually. I wouldn't say I planned on doing it, but I kind of got into now just expanding out a little bit. I've got a few Portuguese cards and a few Fenerbahce guys. Sorry, I've just lost where I was going with that. So that was like, so yeah, I was really happy to buy in-season cards to fulfill all that, and then I even was very happy to make some smart moves, like rather than paying like 190 quid for a Schmeichel, I bought Ederson and Skriniar for the same price essentially at the time, you know, and do that kind of thing and like fill out to try and be streak capable and not just like buy the Celtic collection, but like actually be competitive in the region.
Sure.
And again, it's an appetite and it's a budget thing. Would I have done that straight from the off in any one of the champ leagues or another region? I don't know. But I think like even whether I would or whether I wouldn't, by the time I've finished, I would probably say pretty much my challenger build is kind of ready. And if I get to streak 4 and I see I'm missing something, like you've mentioned, you could just pop into the market, get a piece, and you know you're kind of fine with where you're at. But once you've got to that stage, it is fantasy football, and a big part of it is the fantasy element of it. And it's a bit of right. Well, that's that roster built, and I've just won some credits. I've just won some cash at the weekend. I've got a wee bit extra cash lying around to buy some cards, but I don't have any. As I look across the challenger market, I've bought everyone that I want. You know, so what is the next like fantasy team I could build, or what's the next league I can kind of fancy myself into? Oh, I love the squad that this team's cooking up, and that guy's right under the radar, and oh, check the price of him. And people that have an appetite for the game will just walk themselves into that, I think. So it kind of is, it's really down to, I think, the individual, because again, some people will maybe just build the Celtic thing out, go, I'm done. They might just build the challenger thing out and go, I'm done, or whatever league or club you want to think about, you know. So I think at this stage, it kind of shows the appetite for the game from some people if they're going to start something, especially fresh and without that kind of foothold of crafting a big card.
It's funny. I missed this one before, but Mike said, do you think the craft wins are the predominant reason why people branch out at this stage of card issuance this season? It's funny. Like I crafted a Neuer at like the end of September. I think it was that birthday stream that I did. And I was like, I'm selling that. Like I'm not going to play Bundesliga. And then 2 weeks later, I'm playing Bundesliga, and I was like, I probably could have had that card. And then I crafted an Upamecano last week, and I was like, oh, that would have been nice with the Neuer. Although everyone likes to remind me that the best Bayern defensive stack doesn't have Neuer in it. But anyway, Sean said, in terms of ROI, if you can get to rare, it feels so much better. Quite a few players that are only 3x or 4x, or sorry, few players are only 3x and the streaks are 4x with leaderboards, roughly the same, but less competition. So like basically the cost of the player differences between limited and rare is smaller than the rewards difference. And streaks are 4x with leaderboards with less competition. Yeah, I don't know. I think I would think of it more on the rare side if I played. Like I don't play rare in season anything. I was playing contender for a little bit with my Racing cards, but they're basically expiring, and I basically have no plans to keep going. I say that as somebody who I know when the River Plate cards come out in January, I'll be like, maybe I'll, even though they've been awful. But how much, when you're building your stuff, how much are you thinking streaks versus leaderboards? Because I feel like it's different limited to rare. Like I build all of my stuff in limited for streaks. And I know that sounds weird. Like obviously I want my lineups to be competitive as possible, but I almost never look at the rewards that I can win each game week because I'm just very rarely that close. I did have like one high finish, I think in Division 2 Challenger, that made me think like, oh, you can win on the leaderboard. But I was like, I almost exclusively just wondered like, what streak am I on this week? And how do I make sure I keep going?
I think everyone builds with the streaks in mind because it's something that you can, you know, without any other uncontrollable achieve, you know, like I had a big scoring week myself the other week and I was in Division 2 for it, and it's just like, okay, well, tough plums, you know, like you're capped right away before you even get going. Whereas with streaks, like doesn't matter what division you're in, doesn't matter anything, you know, like if you're hitting the score, if you're running away with it. So I think that's probably been the barometer for most people just for that reason alone. But I don't think the leaderboards are a write-off even by playing at this stage of the season, because you'll like for me, I'll be starting off in Bundesliga Division 3. Maybe I would like to think I get promoted in at Division 2 the first time of asking. But again, from Division 2 to Division 1, as I know, like isn't a guarantee for a good score. Like, you know, Division 2 is quite tricky to get out of sometimes. So it's, you know, so that's all kind of coming into the equation as well. And nowadays, I say nowadays, but at this point of the season, very few people are playing full team stacks where XP and collection bonus exclusively separate the top order. You know, there's always a different captain, a different classic, a funky goalkeeper, hybrid stacks, people doing the 2-1-2 thing. So yeah, even if coming in later, I say I don't think you should exclude leaderboards or write them off. Certainly got to be aware of them and cognizant, but I don't think I think when anyone's valuing their strategy or budgeting for it, streaks is the thing everyone is measuring it against, because it doesn't matter anything else. If Bayern smashes, you know, or you know, whatever, you know, nothing's going to stop you if you do the job.
Yep, and I think that's why I tend to just look at that, because I'm just like, I think it might have been League on this weekend, and I was talking to Harry about it, just like my lineups and everything, and he's like, well, it doesn't matter because PSG are playing against, I think they're playing Le Havre, and I'm just like, I'm just looking for a streak. I don't care what they do. Like, obviously I would love to finish first, but like what PSG do now, granted, I now have some PSG players, but like what they do usually is literally not a concern to me. And it's just a total mindset change of how I used to play Sorare, of let me get as high as possible. And
what division can I hide from Bayern in? Remember that? Like in PSG, oh, let's go to D4 this week, or oh, you know, you know, nobody's played Kimmich and Rare Pro or whatever, you know, Champ, or you know, whatever it could be. There's lots of things like that before, but yeah, it's not as much of a thing, is it?
That's funny. I forgot about that, but you're right. It's exactly what it was. And I don't know if, like, I usually on this show, like, I'll review the winners of each division for all the competitions, and very rarely will you see the Bayern stack in Bundesliga Division 3. But if you are somebody who's starting off and you're just like, no, I'm just going to buy all the best cards, like, I'm going to do that. Like, that's exactly what I did with Challenger. I built Sporting, Benfica, and Fenerbahce collections, and then I added a Porto one. But like, I was playing those in Division 3 when I started, and I'm just like, I'm just going to plow my way through. And so it's not necessarily, but again, it was like, I'll plow my way through, but I still just need to hit the streaks. And I don't even think I've hit the 4th streak yet in Challenger. No, I only hit the 4th one in League One so far. And so, yeah, like where we're playing, I think kind of determines how much I care about the leaderboard, I guess. Goose said, I believe the reason people branch out is probably because prices are looking attractive to people. I don't know. I almost never look at prices of competitions I don't play.
I think it's a little bit of a case of, especially the newer you are to Sorare, or the longer you've been playing this season. Like, if you were buying limited cards at 30, 40, 50 pound earlier this season, and you now see rares at 30, 40, 50 pound, you know, it's kind of hard to not think, do you know, like, I could maybe build a team in there all of a sudden, whereas previously, you know, it was even on the feasibility table at all, because at the beginning of the season, those rares were £100 or 90 or whatever they would have been. So I do think, like, maybe cross scarcity wise, price, or even cross region, I guess, because no matter what region you're in, if you were in one of the bigger ones, you could be looking at how cheap Contenders gotten, or something with some Croatian cards or whatever, or vice versa. You might have went into Croatia and Contender stuff, and now you might look at the Champ stuff and go, I could get into that, you know. So no, I think prices do look appealing for a lot of stuff. The big cards obviously are still going to be big priced, but as we know, especially with the first 3 streaks, you don't really need any stars to get that done. You know, if you're playing the fixtures and you're being cute with it. And a lot of people play strategies, or play the streaks as well, with a strategy in mind of the streak cash will buy you streak 4 and 5 if you get there. You know, like, you'll go and get the reinforcements you need at that time. So I think entry points, it's definitely looking good for a lot of things. If you were here at the beginning of the season, particularly.
I mean, that's exactly what I did. I hit the 4th streak in Ligue 1, and I forget who Lille were playing, but I had like a Lille collection, and I think Ozer was questionable to play, and I bought Chevalier because PSG had like a great matchup, and I bought Vitinha, and I was like, this was a big Gator guy thing. He's like, you're competing for $1,000 this week. Like, it's okay to spend to do that. And obviously, if it doesn't hit, now you have those guys to run the streak again. And it made total sense to me. I came up 100 points short, but it is what it is. It was actually a really weird game week, because I think the only decisive action I had in my lineup was the Chevalier clean sheet. but like Hakimi and Vitinha both had 75, and it's like I can't no decisive 75, and I was just like, all right, I mean, tried my best. I can't even remember what the rest of the lineup was. But it's like, all right, but now I have those cards, and I mean, the fourth streak was $200 anyway, which is more than I spent on those adding those cards anyway. But I was thinking about like just that, like prices looking attractive, and I don't spend any time looking at what La Liga prices are because and I never did. And so when you're like, oh yeah, like add a Pedri, I have no idea if Pedri today is a good value versus Pedri 2 months ago. Well, probably is because the injury, but like there was a tweet from somebody who mentioned that like that Mbappe is selling for more today than he was like 3 months ago or 2 months ago. And I thought, okay. Is that good? Was it good 2 months ago? Is it good now? But we are seeing at least some prices stay. And I just don't look at other competitions' prices if I don't play them until, well, we go back to what we were just saying, until I craft a card from that region. And I'm like, oh, what does it cost to make a team with this guy? And I guess that's why it's so important to be able to craft guys who are not necessarily in the competitions that you play, because it exposes you to the other ones.
Yeah, totally. It definitely just opens your window to, what does the defender in that league go for, or what's the goalkeepers at? It's goalkeepers for me with the Bundesliga one, because obviously I had that cone I had to trade around.
Yeah,
for sure. But I also think on that kind of note as well, like I'm obviously a different case because I just what I do, etc. But a big way I made a video on this a wee while ago. It's called Going Limited to Rare. I think it's maybe a few weeks old, but I've got a little. So I've did the Bundesliga thing, which is like in full swing and ready to go for this weekend. But I've also, with the limited Premier League Road to Glory thing I've been running, been kind of trying to do a little sidebar thing of something I've spoke about before, but just kind of like show it. And so what I did, I'm not buying any more limiteds for that strategy, but what I'm open to is limited priced rares. So I got like a £12 Andy Robertson rare, for example. I then got a £3 limited Ryan Christie, rare Ryan Christie, for example. That was maybe more for Scotland, the Christie one. But point being with that is, ideally, maybe in a month or two, I might have a Premier League squad of like 5 or 6 guys that are pretty handy, that have, like I've kind of mentioned before, like the scale of prices maybe changing a wee bit in your favour. And that's something I think, even if you're not exposing yourself to like new regions, if you do find that you've got to the stage of like, oh, I've got my roster, I know this region, I've got all the main players I need to, it's a case of, well, next time you go and you maybe need to buy somebody in, or next time you're looking around the market, is there something that's red that you could get? Maybe the same card you've got already. Maybe you spent £8 on a Robertson limited in day one, and then today you can get a rare for 15 or something. Really, what's the problem in paying for that to use it in limited, and then you've maybe got a door open to rare with the card later on? You can step up with it. So I would even just float that out there as a concept.
It's funny because I use a lot of classic rares in my in-season limited lineups. I have a classic rare Hakimi, Kvaratskhelia, like I'll play those in season. I actually was making lineups for this weekend, and I have a limited in-season Paderborn collection, and I have like a rare Wendell in that as like my one classic card, because those are the cards that I've had for a while, and so I'm going to play them. Goose said ROI from streaks seems way easier to predict than ROI from the leaderboards. That's the thing I really like about streaks, which I think is a really good point. Lighton said, I bought Mbappe Rare Classic for €310 in August, and last sale now is $474. Wow, is they really that expensive?
I seen Kane had a good graph in that vein as well. I think that's just really good it's good from Sorare in terms of card control, but it's also that they are the best card in the game for their league. If you are going for streak 3, 4, 5, who's the top of the wish list? It's those guys every single time. And when there is like £1,000 on the line or whatever it is, paying that amount of money for them is still consistently worth it, it seems like, to enough people.
This is the 6-month Harry Kane Classic graph.
Classic. Wow.
Yeah, the low got down to 150, and the last sale was 388. Gosh. I'm guessing Mbappe's is pretty similar. I guess it's just
maybe a bit selective where they've taken the point in the graph.
Yeah, fair enough.
Basically the same, isn't it?
Yeah.
We dip, but back up.
Yeah, I mean, this is what, July. So this is the off season. So even August 336, and then yesterday 549. That's dollars, obviously. Mike said the Mbappe Classic is that expensive as I looked at picking one up after selling my in season.
There is some cards like that as well, that the price between in season and limited isn't really that far. You know, for I don't know what an Mbappe in season is. Maybe you can flip over to that, but I don't think it's like 3x. You know, whereas like a lot of rares, like you can find their classic for £2 and their in season's 15. You know,
well, I was gonna say the last, so it was $871 for the in season, last in season, and then 500. So
it's like 50% premium. Yeah. And it's maybe just because it's a scale thing as well. But as I say, you can get like classic guys for £2. Like I know we're talking about limited, we're jumping scarcities now, but I got Rongier classic for 70p at limited, and his in season card, I don't know, £7 maybe. It's not 77. I don't know. So yeah, I think that makes it kind of holds, maybe kind of because of how viable they are. And like I think also those types of cards, Kane's and Mbappe's, there's not hundreds of them available like on the market, you know, because people want to use them. People maybe even have them even locked in a team at any given point. So the market is just, it's just the better cards just get kind of protected in that way as well. Whereas like a tier 2 guy that goes on a really hot L5, a lot of people are maybe going to try and kick in on that a wee bit, you know, as well. And just with more supply, just think comes a bit of price pressure, doesn't it? So they've got a bit of scarcity going for them, that there's not many players like them and there's not many cards of them actually available. So whatever they're going for, they're going for.
Like I said, I think the price increases in classic cards for top players are also due to the fact that this season managers prefer to have a top classic player instead of a classic goalkeeper.
That's a good
That
point.
is something that I feel like more and more people are doing, not using the classic spot on a goalie.
I think classic in-season goalkeepers have been very surprisingly affordable this year. I don't really know what the reason for it is, but even from the beginning of the season, like again for match day 1, I got Mitov, who was again pretty good last year at Aberdeen. Pre-season expectations normal to good, you know. I think I got him for like £50 before match day 1, which, you know, it's not nothing. I'm not trying to, but you know, the season's gone by where, though, especially Scottish cards, just the way they've came out in the past, have been ginormously priced for some reason. And even now, like when I was looking at the Bundesliga, there's like 4 or 5 keepers that are under £60, and some of them are like 30 or 40, which for a rare goalkeeper in season, that's like very affordable. I think last year when we had some of the before when we've had some of the in-season stuff, it's been quite clearly the goalkeepers were just like, remember super rare goalkeepers and stuff, you know, like goalkeepers were just always like extra pricey just because of, again, a scarcity element on not many of them around and the good ones you want to have and that kind of thing. So yeah, I think that's very true, that there's been a bit of a natural, like goalkeepers are priced the way goalkeepers should be priced. Some of them are still quite punchy because they're really good, but guys that are like cross your fingers guys every weekend, just random number generators for the most part, like, you know, they're priced a bit fairer, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm talking pounds, so some of my words I've said might not be on screen, because
Grabara
for me, I think it's like £50 or something, so £75, I'm not sure. Yeah, Vasilj, I think, was like £40 when I was looking. Not too sure what the conversion is now, but again, for in-season keepers, Rono has been very good over the years, very reliable keeper. I got Damon myself on the trade, so I was a bit biased. But yeah, there's like 3 guys, like Galassi, Nubo, Neuer are all pretty expensive. I think Zetter's taking a jump in price. Yeah. Schwabe, again, look at him. He's one of the best.
I mean, look, just from a score perspective, if you took it out, like that's more than usable.
Yeah. And that's at rare, never mind limited, you know. So getting that classic smasher in, the Mbappe, the Kane, is way more the move. Like,
Right.
who was it? Lightning one said. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. But I don't know why keeper prices. Is it just everyone's agreed to stop being ridiculous with them? Is there, like I don't really know why it's happened, to be honest with you, but it's been nice.
Yeah, it's a good point. Why has that flipped? Because it's not as if they used to be super scarce. Like there were just as many goalkeeper cards as any other player. Obviously, there are more defenders and more midfielders per team and forwards per team than the goalkeepers, but it does feel like just as a community, everyone's like, you know what? Just not going to pay these anymore and just figure it out later. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I remember that one thing that you said was like goalkeepers used to be your ticket into the competition. And I'll remember that forever. And it was absolutely right. And, when we were trying to just find anyone that would breathe and play and get in a starting 11.
Yeah.
Sean said Vasilj and Atabolo are the two that I picked up at 64 pounds and a classic Shaqiri as dipping out of contender now that Asia is coming to an end. 64 pounds, that's got to be, it's either each or both for in limited, right? That can't be both for.
I don't know how Shaqiri comes into that.
Agreed. Dipping out of contender, but buying Shaqiri.
Great move all the same. Shaqiri always helps.
Lighton said, ultimately, the cards that guarantee good scores are the top cards, not the goalkeepers, if that makes sense to invest more in a top player than in a goalkeeper. Yeah, I think the volatility of goalkeepers are just super high, which is funny because you know what it might be? When they changed the scoring matrix from the negative decisive being removed from 3 goals, and maybe people were more willing to chance it on players that, they'll concede 3 or 4, but now you're scoring 38 instead of 12.
Yeah, there's less of a divide between the good guys and the bad guys.
Right.
It's just kind of the good guys are elevated and then everyone's together now, rather than because then if you do have the ones that nobody really wanted to pick up, it just puts more towards the rest of them, doesn't it? So that's a good point.
Yeah, I like that. Sean was saying he traded Shaqiri and the 64 pounds for those two. That makes sense.
I guess it's rare then. Yeah, rare in season. Nice.
And Holty, big up to Facundo Cambesas. Have you seen his scores from Racing?
I've definitely seen him at some point, but I don't think I've seen him in the last 2 weeks. I've not seen a goalkeeper 100 in a while, but that is lovely.
Mm-hmm. Nothing like an assist and a clean sheet.
What a run, man.
He wasn't even the starter. Like Gabriel Arias was the starter, and I think Arias got hurt, and they gave Cambesas a start, and he got the clean sheet, and they were like, we'll give him another one, and he just never let go.
Love that.
Mm-hmm. I forget what this one was. It's international duty. That's what it was. But yeah, he's been great, and now the season's over. I have a in-season rare and limited of Cambesas, and I don't think I've won anything with it. Maybe a couple $3 streaks.
Some good goalkeepers that came out of the woodwork are amazing, aren't they? When I was looking at that, the first thing it reminded me of was that guy Jose Caro. We're chatting about him last week somewhere. I forget where it was. But yeah, just on a mad streak. And again, a fond goalkeeper memory I've got is a Sorare Odyssey special. It was Carlos Lampe. I don't know if you remember him, but Lampe, King Carlos was, what was his name again? What was it? It wasn't King Carlos. It was like, I can't remember. But he had a cool nickname anyway in the community on the timeline. Do
I remember him?
Yeah, of course you do.
I've got the let's see.
He still plays. He's a Blue X, isn't he?
31,000 XP. Blue X, yeah, because he plays Copa Libertadores.
Nice. I get some great goalkeepers that come out of the woodwork.
Mike, I don't know if he's still the Bolivian number 1.
Oh, I'd love it if he was.
Oh,
wow, he is.
Right here.
What a Blue X he is. How old is he right now?
Shutting out Brazil. Now, do we have it on this page?
I wish I bought him ages ago, man. I'm gutted.
I'm sure you could buy one for about $1.50 right now. Let's see.
Rare Classics, £12.30 in my money.
What's the last sale?
It's
2 months ago. He's 38.
Oh, yeah. It's hard.
Mike, apologies for doubting you. You're right.
Fun guy. Bit of a goat, but bit of a guy worth having in the collection, isn't he? Just for keepsake, a relic.
I'm going to hide it on screen for how much I actually paid for this card. Let me see.
It's very good for a while. Yeah, I'm sure you'd have done well out of him.
Yeah, I'm not gonna show it. Anyway, yeah, I think there are just so many of those guys. Obviously, he doesn't have like in-season cards, but the ability to be able to use them. Quinny, are you already preparing for the World Cup? In my case, is light, and I'm buying from my country, Uruguay. The problem is that goalkeeper Rocher doesn't have a card in Sorare.
Yeah, he plays for one of the Brazilian giants, I think, doesn't he? Am I preparing for the World Cup? No, but around international tournaments, I'm always extra conscious of who I have going to the tournament, and I'll be quite open to rounding off some edges to make sure I've got a team or two. The problem is with these international tournaments is we never really know what the format's going to be for them. In some ways, I can't remember all the different formats that we've had over the years, but it doesn't ever feel like I was ever like seen the plans for this competition and went, oh, perfect, I'm set. You know, like I was always like, oh, it's got to get something else, or maybe the way the game weeks go, or the deadlines, maybe some of the way some of them have worked over the time, double game weeks and stuff. You know, because I remember because the group stages are quite ferocious, like in terms of the tempo of them, and you do get, I don't know, I can't remember, but I've made sure to get a full Scotland stack for like the now. I made a mistake with playing Adams over Doak against Greece, but outside of that, I'm not actively doing anything for internationals, but I am always aware of who I've got going to the tournament and kind of constantly thinking about it. And then if something happens, cool, but I'm not going to make something happen for it probably right now.
It's just too far away for me.
Yeah. But if you notice, one of your big guys goes, you know, that's a starting point, you know, okay, well, there's a goalkeeper going, you know, there's a captain capable guy going, my French boys are going, whatever it is you've got.
Yeah. Charlie said it could be SO5, SO7, in season or not, arena only, can't prepare at all. I don't know. I mean, my expectation is they do something similar to last season with the Club World Cup, and they have, you know, like some special edition cards that we buy to do the in-season stuff, and then the classic only that who knows what the rewards will be. Surely arena. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know for sure. The one of the questions that was brought up earlier, I wanted to touch on because it's just kind of speaking of the summer. MLS and the J League are moving to summer, or excuse me, avoiding the summer now, going to the European calendar. And I had a couple of people ask me about it, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I'll talk about it on stream." And I feel like you're the perfect person to talk to about it. But how do you see those leagues kind of fitting in on Sorare now that, or I mean, they're not there yet, but once the J League and MLS goes to the August to May or July to May, what does the summer look like on Sorare?
Brazilian and Norwegian and Argentinian, I guess. I think it'll be good for MLS probably on every level. For the J League, I think it'll probably be quite good for them IRL. Sorare wise, I'm not sure what it. I don't know. Does it help you Sorare wise? I think it might. The contender region, yeah, maybe it does help them. I think it'll be weird, but I've seen this to Harry. We're kind of joking. I forget if it was on stream or not, but it'll be nice to have summers off. You know, when Sorare is like got all the leagues firmly in a line and their ducks are in a row and everyone's synced up in the one calendar. We can actually, if you live on this side of the camera, you can actually have a holiday. Think of it, with nothing to do for a month coming up in June or whatever it is. So that'd be nice. But yeah, I think like SO5 wise, yeah, it probably doesn't change too much. I think it maybe takes a bit of spotlight away from Japan in particular. So I think a lot of people get into Japan because in the summer leagues that are available, it's a kind of fun option where there's been a lot of players recently that have came over. You can watch all this stuff. It's not great translating everything, but you can get info for it. And if that's running alongside in that region, it'll be the likes of Croatia and Bundesliga 2 and whatnot. It's got less of a reason to be picked up. You know, it's not that bridge competition anymore. It's just kind of one of the crowd. So it probably gives more opportunities to the J League guys to stack and hit. If there's less people targeting those games, or if those games now, rather than just being against themselves in the summer, are in amongst it with the actual meat and bones of the season when all the teams are playing, it's full leaderboards and full prize pots on show. So yeah, I think net's maybe positive actually, but I think there's some maybe it's J League cards just don't get spoken about as much the way they used to. Certainly will change.
Do you think we get like J League only comps and then Classic just an all-star like we do? My expectation is that MLS continues as a single league, but no Classic. So that goes into all-star, kind of like we did with J League and K League anyway.
I could see it because of Eredivisie and Jupiler.
Yeah.
So I could see it because it's a full league license. Sorare really does value the J League as a partner. So I could definitely see it. It's not really something I'd have thought. I think MLS has to be its own competition at this point, really going forward, because MLS is its own beast in so many ways, and it just suits having its own competition. Its own deadline would be nice to happen as an innovation down the road, perhaps as well. But yeah, I suppose J League probably could go in to its own competition quite easily, as in the same way as Belgium and Holland have.
Yeah. Philly Dilly said, does Sora have that much incentive to re-sign the J League if Contender is running? I mean, you could just take, I'm trying to think of like what Contender would be if they took J League and K League out.
It's just Bundesliga 2, etc., Croatia, Switzerland, that kind of batch of Colombia, Brazil, Norway, that kind of batch. So it's been really, I don't know about the K League necessarily. I don't know. Could you do I don't know. K League still lives in that space of being the summer thing though, because I don't think K League is changing calendar. So K League is probably unchanged situationally. But yeah, if you took both of them out, maybe there's a repercussion to think about.
Well, just because you mentioned like Switzerland, but they don't have any in-season cards anyway. There's no Classic Contender.
I'm just thinking about cards I've got.
Yeah. Syria, that's right. Forgot about that. No, they're in aren't they in Challenger?
Challenger champion, yeah.
Challenger, yeah. Let's face it, if Cecina gets relegated, the K League is gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if they would rather have the single league comps for them or not, or if they're just comfortable with having them in Contender.
It would depend on their agreement. I think they've got quite a strong bond with the J League. We've had a lot of special editions come out of the J League over the years. A lot of them you're a big fan of, obviously, over the years. And it's sort of I listened to Nicola's podcast, or the live stream he did on this channel with the Solana guys. I've forgotten his name. Sorry, I don't want to sound disrespectful or anything. Just totally forgotten it. But Tolly, his name was, that's it. And like all these people that Sorare are licensed with, like Nicholas said it, they're partners and investors in the company as well. Mbappe, Zidane, etc. And all these leagues are in the same boat, so it's not so I think it's very much we're all in it together in that regard. And I don't think Sorare will be very quick to kick anyone out the club,
sure.
Particularly, So I think it'll be down to what the J League wants. If the J League wants their own comp, or if they want to be in the mix, maybe it's a discussion thing. It's a personal preference. But it does feel like they wanted to give it to Belgium and Holland because, again, of the relationship that they've had over the years, particularly with Belgium. So I wouldn't be surprised if the J League got it in that same kind of spirit.
Do you think you'd ever would have gone into MLS if they were a fall spring league?
I'm a bit of a different case because, as you know, my family's American, so I've got my dad, a brother and a sister that live over there, so I've kind of followed MLS like a lot of my life anyway. So yeah, no matter what MLS was doing, I'd be following it in some way, shape, or form. I've always been interested in the growth of football, soccer over in America, and just different clubs. Obviously NYC recently over the last 7 or 8 years, whatever it is, in Seattle kind of before that. So yeah, really, regardless of the calendar, I would have kind of changed it anyway. I do think they've done a good job with Apple. I know it's not been totally received that well, maybe even in America from some stuff I've heard. Like, I don't think everyone has Apple TV. I've got Apple TV only for MLS. Oh, they renegotiated their deal. I don't know if you've seen this the other day. Yeah. That's why I was listening to stuff about that. But I do love the fact that it is without borders. Like every game, one app, everything's there. It should be very easy to. It's very accessible, and I think the changes they're making now, it's going to be cheaper for everyone. You don't need to buy MLS Pass anymore. It's just going to be in your Apple thing. The one complaint I have with that, which is not relevant to anything we're talking about, but if you have the Apple TV app on your phone, it won't go to a Google Chromecast. It'll only go to like an Apple TV casting device, whatever the hell they call their thing, iCast or whatever. Well, I'm just making that up. Very frustrating for me. So I can only watch it on the PS5 or on my phone. There's no casting, which is a nightmare. But I think the increased visibility for MLS, they've done really well with it. And I think switching to that European calendar, it'll probably help them like credibility wise. I don't know why, but I think not being on the European calendar, everyone just always like turns their nose up at that. Like if you're playing football when the World Cup's on, stuff you need to pause your league and stuff like that. I don't know. It's just kind of looked down upon, isn't it? But I'm not sure it'll help them get more viewers, because if they're playing, they bring some kickoff times to fit the European schedule. But guess what? We've got our own games playing at that time.
Yeah.
So it's a weird one in some ways, isn't it?
The thing that I saw today, I didn't end up getting to read the article, but it was, I think they had interviewed the Minnesota United technical director, and they were basically saying that MLS loses a ton of money on transfers because their transfer window is in the middle of the season or on either side. So like the MLS preseason, they're trying to buy guys, and teams are like, I don't want to give up players in the middle of the season. So they'll give up players in the summer where an MLS is like half over by then. And they're just like, the people don't want to pay as much on either side. And so it really hurts MLS when they're selling players or trying to bring them in, that they have to pay more to bring them in and they sell them for less because the timing is just awful. And that was like a big reason to switch, because now they can kind of work on everybody else's schedule. But I don't know, I'm very interested to see how it works on Sorare, because I think there are a lot of people who play MLS because nothing else is going on. And now the time where nothing is going on is actually quite small. Like the European leagues end in mid-May and start up again in mid-July, mid-August. Like 2-3 months is not that long, but I think there are people who are like, no, and obviously people who've been on the platform for a while, they know who Carlos Gil is, and the OGs who like remember paying absurd amounts of money for guys like Nicholas Ladero. And you're like, no, it's become part of the fabric of Sorare. And now without much competition, or now with lots of competition with JPL and Eredivisie and obviously all of the champion leagues, I don't know. We'll see.
I think it maybe opens up a bit more opportunity, because MLS is such a big league that like when it does line up, and we're talking about 2027, I think this happens, isn't it? So it's post World Cup, but there's like 40 teams in the division, so when cards are being sold and stacks are being built, especially when they are, maybe they're not competing with the European cards and the leaderboard, because it'll be in its own competition, but certainly competing in the marketplace for money and credits and everything else that gets spent on them. Like getting that San Diego expansion team built in the preseason might become a bit cheaper, might be a bit more successful, because there's that kind of herd of the summer crowd doesn't really arrive, so it's only really the ones that are going to be tuned into it. So entries might go down in some regard, but the people that do play it, they feel like they're going to be in with a shot of winning more regularly because they are tapped in.
Yeah, it makes sense. And I mean, frankly, from the other side, assuming that Sorare 27 and 28 look similar to what we are playing now, you can let MLS start and see what it's all about, and then join in November, like people are joining now. And so the way that the game sets up, I am curious to see if there are people who, I hate to say that, are like me, but like I don't play Jupiler or Eredivisie, but it's certainly tempting when I'm looking for, and I craft a card that's this guy plays for PSV. How much do they cost now? And if it just takes a simple, this guy plays for Austin, what does an Austin stack cost? The answer is not very much. But maybe that it's just it's just there. Just because it doesn't have its special time doesn't mean there isn't going to be that draw that is the same draw that any other league has on Sorare.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, it will be interesting to see how it all shakes out. I think that's definitely an angle of Sorare that, again, like you've mentioned there with Eredivisie and Jupiler, like winning a card opens this stuff up. But I also do think, again, maybe a lesser felt element of this for particularly newer players is that, and again, I tried to show this on a video recently, I forget which one it was, but if you think about it now, 95, 80, 60%, whatever you think of it in your head as, the in-season stuff you have now is going to fulfill your classic quota next year. You know, it's going to be your SO7 teams all of a sudden and everything else. And, you know, if you've got your, like I've got a Valencia collection from last year, and one card to use as an example out of that is that boy Gasarowski who went to PSV.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's had some negative decisives, but he certainly had some really good scores. And if I've got a classic like that floating about, it's in an all-star team here and there, and then I craft the kind of foothold guy. Not only have I got the foothold guy, the Lukeba or whoever you want to think about, but I've also got that classic in the back of my head where I know, oh, well, I've actually got a guy that's scoring really well at a big team from last year's collection that's transferred around the world. And again, MLS offers a lot of that. You know, maybe mainly South America and Mexico related, but all these leagues, you know, there can always just, it's the kind of the joy of the football in the terms of the collection aspect of it is, you know, you follow, you know, you can, again, use a similar example yourself where you're like your Enzo Fernandez and your Julian Alvarez, you know, you might be playing Benfica and you, River Plate, and, you know, you're in contender and, oh, Alvarez goes to City and, you know, fast forward Enzo's in Chelsea, and then you win a Premier League goalkeeper. And you're like, okay, cool. Well, I know Alvarez is in Spain now, but you can imagine the example I'm painting here, you know, and then you've not only just got the in-season little win, but you've got a bit of classic kind of firepower here. So again, yeah, like the single league comps are kind of good in that regard, but the collection aspect of things can also be one of the things that opens the doors up for you as well as the win.
Yeah. The classic cards opening up the window is an interesting one to me because like a vast majority of my best scoring cards are in contender. And I was like, I'm not going to play contender anymore. But then I'm not taking advantage of the Douglas Santos and Hakan Evjen, guys like that, yes, I can play them in all-star, but being able to turn those guys into cash is fun. And I do wonder how much time people spend when they think of expanding to other leagues of what are the classic cards that I could do? Like, what do I have already that could set me up? And one of the, like, thinking of my own classic cards, like I have a classic Rafinha, I have a classic Jude, and it's like, should I be playing La Liga because I have these guys as well? I haven't crafted anything new, but maybe it just takes one good craft and it's like, oh, well, I have this classic card already. So now I'm two-fifths of the way there, at least for one lineup.
Both those guys have been injured, so there's maybe not been that much pressure on like you, particularly with that situation. But I think, yeah, if you've got like, I actually got this question the other day. I put it out as a kind of a little video on the channel. It's like a clip from a member section, and the question was, if you had €1,000 for next season, would you play limited Bundesliga with no classics going into it, or would you play rare La Liga knowing that you have a classic Pedri and Mbappe? I thought that was quite an interesting little brain teaser, you know, of, you know, what you've got and how you could work out. We spent a bit of time talking about it. And I think, like, thinking about that, when you're saying classic Rafinha, classic Jude, obviously I know they've both been injured, but I'm thinking if they're fit, man, that's a great excuse. Like, because the in-season cards that could go around them, you could probably build a team for the price of one of your Liga and Super Rares, you know, or something, you know. Yeah, your Oviedo stack, or what's that? Harry's Oviedo, isn't he, or something like that? We defense stack, classic Rafinha up front, and then go find some set piece guy in midfield and copy and paste every week and see how well you do. Because, like you say, the classic cards, getting a squeeze out of them is definitely something you think about. And with me, I've just put Shaqiri and Wanizek, and I've just made them like Siamese twins essentially, and I just put them out as my midfield and all-star D1, because again, that's how I feel like they'll help me towards the Lucabas or the Dominic Fitzwins, or they'll try and do that for me rather than the region thing. But equally, when I'm in the region, if I've got guys like that, you're always using them. You're like, right, well, what team does he go into? And you'll use them that way. But yeah, so there's more than one way, I think, to get the squeeze out the classic ones, whether it is directly in the region or trying to just hoover up some more essence for you.
So I feel like that's a question, like the type of question you get all the time. For those of you who are somehow not already subscribing to Quinny's channel, it's Quinny 3001, and addresses a lot of questions like that, particularly in the members section if you become a member. But what was the first consideration in that of should I play like the La Liga or Bundesliga limited in season versus La Liga? Like
last week, I think it was.
What's literally the first part of that brain tease?
So I think like the limited situation, you can buy Bayern, like you can just buy the best guys and like QT in it essentially, just buy the best players and just pick your lineup. Because that money will go a lot further. But again, with that head start of the Pedri and the Mbappe, that money can get quite a lot at rare. It's not going to get less, but the payouts are obviously on a different scale and that sort of thing. So it's kind of a question of, are you wanting to take your own journey? For me, anyway, it kind of boils down to, do you want to take your own journey on that kind of dynasty mode, where you're using last season's cards to help this season again, and then you build on top of that and you kind of go in that consistent direction? Or do you want to like DFS, QTN, fantasy football it, and buy all the best players in the league, and then every week sit down and have fun building your teams? Who's playing who's fit, and without any biases or, I don't have that, guys. Pick the best 4 lineups every weekend. So it's kind of a case, I think it comes down to kind of how you want to attack it or how you want to play the game. But because again, like limited Bundesliga and rare La Liga, very different competitions on so many levels. People you're playing against, cards you can use, scores that win, stack options and all sorts of stuff. So I found them very interesting, like ends of the scale to compare.
Was there any consideration of La Liga limited in season and playing the rares down, basically?
No, I don't think so. I think when you've got rares I play lots of rares at limited, as I'm sure many people know, but I would not be playing Mbappe rare at limited. I think at that point you're letting yourself down a wee bit on using your cards.
It's exactly what I do at Liga.
With who?
I play Hakimi rare in limited, and I hate it.
Yeah, So you must have a champion classic team, but
what do you mean?
Rare.
I probably should play champ classic better than I do. Like I have a Bruno. Yeah, I should, and I just don't for some reason.
It kind of comes back to like me being the all-star guy like years and years ago. It's the same sort of thing for me where, again, like that Hakimi and whatever else, like the number one job for them this year is to help me get better cards this year. In this case, it's more of an in-season context, whereas before it was like just all-star, the prizes were better or didn't matter about the regions. So that's just how I kind of think and feel about it. I don't really use too many of my Serie A classics in my challenger lineups, again, for that kind of reason, because it's kind of like champ guys going champ to try and get me champ essence so that I can try and pull a Pedri or a Lucaba or whatever. I've not won a Pedri, by the way, but just like, whatever it might be. Because, like, again, every card we want to get as much out of it as we can, utility and ROI-wise, I suppose, and the best cards to win are in champion. And, that was kind of the strategy for me coming into this year, was like, either what I've done with this Bundesliga thing would happen eventually or quickly or whatever. But even if it didn't, and I was winning a Ligue 1 card and then I was winning a Bundesliga, and it wouldn't become streamlined to go together into one lineup, then they're the best cards to move around in the market. I forget what one I did recently, but I won a champ guy. It was fairly decent. Like I won Harvey Elliott. I don't know, was it Harvey Elliott? That might have been last. I won somebody like that. Kind of middling, kind of tier 2. It wasn't Harvey Elliott. But anyway, I managed to trade. I've managed to use cards like that to trade into like high quality Celtic cards or decent Fenerbahce cards as times went on. And again, like champ cards are the best ones to use in that situation with bots or with other users in general, because yeah, generally they're maybe leagues people are building into, but as far as the market goes, they're the ones that are, you know, the most liquid.
Yeah. So I'm going to show you what I do, or at least what I did. So this is the Hakimi I have, and the reason I have this card is I was originally planning on playing him in champ, but the reason I got this one is because, and I don't have a big collection here, but I have this is the only Messi rare I ever bought, and this is a Neymar jersey mint.
Nice.
And I was like, all right, I should buy, like, I've been trying to get a Vitinha also, and it's like, do I just buy the limited in season, because I play limited in season Ligue 1, and it's almost the same thing with this Kvaratskhelia, that I have a Napoli collection, and it was just kind of like it should fit in here, and that's why I bought the 2 rares. But it feels wrong every week. Genuinely feels wrong.
Yeah. Well, it's best laid plans, isn't it? Sometimes, you know, these things don't always come together. As soon as you said that, I have heard you mentioning that. Actually, it was just I've got a bad memory with these things, but they come back to me eventually. But so it's all about winning as well. But you know, like if I wasn't open to, or you know, like if I was only playing limited in season, I wouldn't think twice about throwing the rares in there. Don't get me wrong, but I think when you are in that rarefied air with some of these guys, that you know, you kind of want them swinging as high as they can for you. But yeah, that's what it is.
Sorry, I was just trying to see like what's the
look
best
like for you.
Like this, I can play all of these in champ. Obviously, some of these guys are hurt right now, but so I play the Hakimi, and obviously I have that Kvaratskhelia I just showed. Agard I play in limited in season also. But you would look at this and be like, I'm just playing champ every week.
Totally, that's a D1 capable team.
I think I was in D1. I forgot. I must have gotten relegated. I mean, I clearly did. I was definitely in League Division 1 for a while, because I do play it. It's just I tend to do it not like leftovers, but let's see, what was the last game week? I don't know any of these. I don't even know if I played champ. Yeah, here we go. Not well.
Your boy Garner.
Oh, that's where I got relegated. Yeah. 3 points to safety. Oh.
Yeah. You need to be pulling rate. So yeah, that's just how I think. I kind of want those guys pulling essence for me, or winning cards if possible. It's also a bit harder to win cards, but it's kind of weird. But like, you know, so the situation you're in, Hakimi limited classic, can't beat that much, you know?
Yeah.
So you're not like missing out on something if you really need to play Hakimi in the team, or Kvaratskhelia. Again, if they're on to play this week and you really want him, because again, like D1 classic rare champ is a way better competition to be in for me, like for like essence and trying to get your gallery kicking on, especially if you are like playing around with rares. I know you're not doing rare in season at the moment, and you know there's only so many guys that hit the big scores every weekend, and if you could have Aguerd and Hakimi on a good weekend, as a defense pair could average like 80 between them, and then the rest of your guys were pretty hot as well, Bruno's and Bellingham and Rafinha. So it's not unimaginable that a lineup like that could win the thing. Also, it's probably not the primary aim every weekend, but it's not unimaginable. You know, it's quite feasible. Anything, you know, Real Madrid were playing Elche on that screen there. You see Bellingham hitting 100 against all sorts of people. Elche is one of them. So, and again, like a big win like that opens the door. Might be League 1 if you're playing that already, or it could be another competition. I don't know. That's just me. But I think if you do like play the guys unlimited, you could buy a limited classic Hakimi, then you probably wouldn't lose any sleep over it, I'm sure.
Yeah. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Leighton said winning in limited is very difficult, but winning in rare is possible with a team other than Barcelona, Real Madrid, or Atletico Madrid. I won game week 21 in Division 1 rare with an Espanyol stack.
Nice.
I remember those lineups, like all the Espanyol stacks that hit that week. Were they against Elche that? I can't remember who they played, but I remember looking at all of them and just being like, oh my God, it happened.
Yeah. Differentials can be massive in that sense, because if the big boys don't deliver, it can be a clear path sometimes. I'm waiting for Sociedad to have one good week from the last 3 years. It's not quite happened yet.
Do you think about that much now? I feel like it's funny. We were saying how it seems like people are stacking less and you're not seeing as many like same lineups and XP and collection changes, the leaderboard, but are you building lineups thinking about differentials and stuff? Or is it still just, I'm going to play my best players for streaks?
Well, for a lot of for a lot of my strategies are all quite segregated. So like Sociedad this year, I bought all shiny edition cards at limited in season for rotate. It didn't start off like that. I kind of just bought I bought really good guys that were really cheap and hit the first couple of streaks to start the season off. But it's just kind of degened into Sociedad again because the whole squad is just guys I already have cards of and I've been following for the last couple of years. And for the most part, I can't believe they all play together. It's actually happened. It's like the mystery sport director of Sociedad in some ways, so I couldn't not help buy all their cards this year. So that is just what's the starting 11. And I've even got to the stage now where I'm playing the bench in the fourth lineup, of guys that might start or will definitely come off the bench. That's team 4. So that's just a team, that's the team stack all the way down, for that one. But with the rest of them, it's not really too much of a consideration. I think I kind of thought about this a lot more with Challenger Rare, because when I decided I was going to try and reinforce the Celtic stuff, I had 2 kind of options with that. One of it, I kind of did both of them. One of them is like reinforcing in Scotland, because Scotland in particular has a good fixture calendar throughout Christmas and such. Yeah. So like I need some correlation there. And then also there's Europa League, because I don't expect Celtic, and we've not done great, obviously playing Midgetland and whatever, to do amazing in the Europa League. But, like Schmeichel could still score 70. The Gren can still score an 80 on a given Europa game, so if I had other cards that could help that were also Challenger, then I would have been very open to it. And that's why the other in-seasons I got were Porto and Fenerbahce, because not only do they help the region, but they're way better midweek than what Celtic are. So like the in-season keeper that Celtic gives me or this or that will help, and then those guys should be in the top ends of the table, so they might help me to win in that way. So I kind of looked at them as stacks, but it was more just like more pieces or more weapons in the arsenal. Like Celtic's maybe like the bazooka, and then Fenerbahce's like a machine gun or something. And to win it this weekend, need 1 rocket out the bazooka, and we need 3 magazines out the machine gun. Or whatever, to fire off. I don't know.
Do you think you'll buy new Celtic cards every season?
I kind of had this conversation with myself about a month ago, and I probably am destined to that doom for as long as Sorare makes them, probably, because like I've just got enough of them now at this point. I'm 5 seasons in, I think. This is my 5th season of Celtic cards, which is quite fun in some ways, but Celtic in particular have been quite painful, and they're going to be painful again, I think, because like Joe Hart retired, and Scott Bain's kind of cool now because he's in the Scotland team, he's playing for Falkirk, but there was no like Celtic goalkeeper utility for a while, and then we had Schmeichel, obviously, and he's probably going to leave us high and dry. Who knows what happens with Sinisalo? But generally, like I do think if you follow a team, you back a team, you stack a team, you probably will find just because with Sociedad as well. That's how I've kind of backdoored myself into that, because I won Atake Kubo. Really liked the team anyway. They signed Brais Mendes, who I was already a big fan of. And then when I won the Take, I was like, oh, well, cool, I'll just build a wee Sociedad team around this win. And then last season, they made some signings I liked, and I thought, right, I'll just buy the 5 guys I don't have, and there'll be a wee 2% collection. As the season went on, I think they're both at 4% now. They're not quite no complete collections. But then anyway, this year, and then when this year happened, I was like, I'm not buying any more Sociedad cards. All the guys that they bought this year, I actually have classics of anyway. So I actually have like a full classic Sociedad team put together just because of all the classics I have. So the DGen kicked in for that, for it being limited rather than rare, because I was just like, why not? Let's just go for the shinies and just put them together, and we'll forget about it for rare. So a bit of a long-winded answer, I'm really sorry, but I don't particularly think about like, oh, I'm going to buy a Fenerbahce stack and I'll put these 5 together, set and forget every week. But I do look at Fenerbahce and go, well, I'd rather have Ederson and Skriniar for the price than what Schmeichel is. And they do this for me, and they do that for me. And then they say they just give me more weapons to kind of cycle through with.
So you play like rare is your game for the most part.
Yeah.
You give away all of your limited rewards.
Yep.
Another reason to go over to Quinny 3001. Just saying. Has there been, like, have you thought about kind of expanding that? Like you were saying, like, obviously I'm just going to do it unlimited this year. Do you think that will keep going as like Sorare 27, 28? Like, do you think, or is the
Not Sociedad or anything like that. No, I don't think I'll.
well, yeah, no, not Sociedad, but just if, I guess the question is like, once you get to a point where you think you're pretty well set in Challenger, have you had, and you're going to Bundesliga rare, but like, has there been any thought of going to limited, or is it because you know that anything you craft, like you hit a great craft and it's like, well, I'm not keeping this one anyway. But do you consider like buying in and just playing for the cash prizes?
Yeah, well, that's all I play limited for personally, is the cash. So I'm not giving the cash away. I'll give away cards and I'll craft cards with the essence and stuff, but streaks and leaderboard stuff, that'll be for me. Also, I did this with MLS to almost as like a test case in some ways, or just as this is just something I walked into. But I've been doing it more and more this year, and I've got to a really good point now with all those Fenerbahce and Porto cards coming in. I see all those Porto cards. There's only 2 of them. But is getting those in-season rares and playing them in limited, because I've got limited Schmeichels from last year. I've got so many goalkeepers I can use. So if I have, I was mentioning before with the Sociedad thing that Team 4 is like the maybe guys and the definite subs. That team for me in rare is unlimited. I'll have 4 rare teams of like as good quality as I can make them, but I'll still have all these other squad guys. I might have all these guys that might play but probably don't score well, but they might, and I'm not going to not use them. So for the main rare strategy, that just all goes into limited, and it's like, if anything comes out, brilliant. It's just the collection getting as much as it can in some way. And I say, if I get essence, I could be a real hard nose with it and just like craft and sell and manage my ROI on the in seasons I've bought and all the rest of it. But also, just from what I do, it's also a bit different. So craft and giveaway is kind of how I work it. But for anyone out there that doesn't make videos, like winning limiteds that are a tenner, you can turn that into a rare, not too hard. Selling that and pocketing it isn't a bad thing either. So if you do fill out, or you feel like, I've I've got more than 4 teams here at rare, and I don't really know what to do, or you're kind of getting playing them in arena and they're losing because they're the dregs, they're terrible guys or whatever. I don't want to play them in this division and get relegated. Maybe it's something like that going on. Maybe you only get 3 lineups. Just go down into, if you're in rare, this is obviously, but just go into the limited one, and who cares? Like, really, who cares? And if it smashes, brilliant. You've had your lottery ticket. I'm saying smash. We're talking about limited division 3 most likely, which which isn't going to be much, but everyone adds up, doesn't it?
Sure. What's been your history in considering in-season super rare?
So moving out of super rare was something that I actually did with a very heavy heart. About a year ago. I forget precisely when it was, but yeah, it was about a year ago, I think, because I've been slowly like, no. Yeah, so I moved. So super rare was like a long climb down for me, because I was so like in super rare, and just with some of the game developments, I couldn't keep up with them. And so I sold out of my Celtic McGregor Unique and Celtic super rares about a year ago and concentrated on champ super rares, because I just, went for the premium one, as it were, with the classics I had. So I'd built them up over time. Some really nice cards. Added more in last season to try and reinforce it. And it wasn't even really the game, the competition, or anything like that. All my super rares were just stinking last year. Like, they just had a bad year, couldn't link them together. It just wasn't, it wasn't anything to do with leaderboards being too hard, or, none of that stuff really played a part. And if you looked at my roster, they all had, none of them are bad players. I don't think I buy bad players. I always say that, but they just didn't have a good year. Sure. There was no link up there, so it just sucked. And then when the changes got announced this year, I just didn't want to even think about that again. So I just moved out with them and just concentrated in rare. But with seeing the fun Harry's had at super rare, seeing Nep getting kind of bitten by the bug and moving back in, and I'm hearing about you doing the same, it does pique my interest and it does make me curious. But I've done enough strategies before where they're done on impulse, or they're done on, the best plan is the one you stick to. is
Mhm.
probably the bottom line I would be driving towards here, you know. And I didn't plan on doing it this year, and it wasn't something I was going to do. And I think, like, whatever amount of money you want to imagine, just say 500. It's probably more, right? But say it was 500 to put that strategy up and running. I think I would be hurting the previous £500 I'd spent on rares, if you get me.
Sure.
I'd rather just make that 1,000 and make it punch harder,
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of thing.
No, I think that's always the kind of back and forth on going just up any scarcity is, am I better off just improving what I have, or even just expanding that scarcity? And I hate to say this as somebody who takes the expansion one, but I do feel like it's probably the wrong one. That I think improving what you have is probably better from like a resource perspective, because ultimately you're never going to be able to, at least right away, buy the same level of players at the next scarcity, because they're obviously much more expensive. And I feel like where So Rare has gone over the last 2 years, I think the player base has gotten a lot better at the game. I think the opportunities to find an edge are much smaller. And so I hate to say like you're just better off buying the better players, and that's probably always been the case, really. But the higher up you go, it's just a lot more work to be able to figure out how you're going to win with the players that you have at the lower level, if that makes any sense. Like, if you're somebody who stacks Real Madrid and Barcelona playing limited La Liga, you probably have to get the Sociedad stack at rare or super rare and figure out how to make that work. And it's just a totally different way to play the game. And not to say you can't do both, but it's extremely difficult to move up a scarcity and be able to just use the same concepts and strategies that you do from the lower one, because the opponents are different. The number of cards is different. If you go from limited and rare to super rare, there are no streaks. And so you have to hit the leaderboard. And there's just a lot more that goes into it that I think a lot of people don't necessarily think. That you can probably do a similar strategy if you play La Liga and you're like, all right, instead of playing rare La Liga, let me just play limited Bundesliga. And that probably is the same amount of money. Kind of back to the conversation you were having, or that you had on your channel, of La Liga rare next year or Bundesliga limited. You just have to decide, do I want to introduce effectively a brand new strategy, not just brand new players, but a new strategy,
Yeah.
because all of the scouting and card acquisition, like all of it is very different as you move up scarcities.
Totally. I do think, though, there is that kind of rare, like the Andy Robertson rare thing I was mentioning before. I think, again, it's all relative. So if, like we were mentioning earlier on, there's like 11 games out of 38 played or something like that. So what you need, in terms of price-wise, like, what is a win? Is it just having one good game week and the team kind of looks after itself? You've kind of got your money back from the expense of the squad. Is it winning the full 5 streak? Is it winning a big cash off the leaderboard? So, like, moving into anything, even at this point, I think it's a good point for a lot of people, and a lot of people are making moves now. But not everyone's ready to do something now. Maybe the thing you want to do, it's not the time for it, because, again, if you want to zoom out a little bit, we get to Christmas and a lot of leagues go on winter break. I'm sure Sorare will be doing lots of promotions. We've had lots of market credits over this last international break, even as an example. And, like, if you keep your eyes on stuff, then, there's an Andy Robertson rare at £12. I'll just buy that, and it'll help my team this week anyway at limited. I'll just put it in there. Who cares? And, you fast forward that strategy 2 or 3 months and, cool, I've got 6 super rares there. Like, and, 3 of them have got a good game and the goalkeeper's playing, and let's just cross our fingers that striker isn't rubbish and let's go, and start from there. And it's not been that, because, again, I think the best plan is the one you stick to. And if you're going to lay a new plan or a new strategy out, especially higher up, moving up scarcities, it's very unlikely you're going to be able to execute and get it all together tomorrow, end of the week, by next game week, by the deadline. So the longer you give yourself to get into it, the cheaper you'll get guys, and probably the better off you'll be for it. Is just another thing I would add into that, because I was saying the example earlier on of £500 and all the rest of it. Well, if your budget's £500 now to buy the team, what a team looks like today at £500 looks totally different to, like in 3 months from now, or even just buying. You're excited to do it because you've seen that one guy is 40 quid. Just buy that one guy and chill. And then, wait till somebody else gets injured, or you get some news before everyone else. Oh, that goalkeeper's only 60 quid. Pavel's not noticed, and you've still got your 500 sitting there. And you just, you pick your moments and you kind of go into it. And I say it's all relative, because I think if you put that pressure on, build the team today, need to get ready for the game week, do whatever it takes, get that deal done, pay an extra 10% here, trade that card to get that one over the line, then you're going to have a much higher entry point, a bit more pressure associated with it. And then, it's just more chance of it blowing up in your face sort of thing. So, take your time. I think is one thing I would just kind of add into this as well. More things. What's that old saying? People always overestimate what they can do in a short term, and they always underestimate what they can do over a longer term. And I think Sorare's quite like that. It's very, everyone thinks short term. They don't really think about how much they could do if they just planned it out a bit longer. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I should take that advice a lot more, but I don't.
I try to. I'm very bad for it as an individual, but I'm always like quite conscious of, I said this thing on a video last week and I can't just do the opposite of it. Like I can't just ignore that didn't exist, because I'll just look like a hypocrite or whatever, or I'll look like, like take your own medicine kind of thing as well. So it's a big thing of me doing videos in general, is just being accountable and then making sure that I did say I was going to stick to that. So I need to stick to it. I've told the people know I've said I'm sticking to it. And don't want to go back on my word or give up on something before it starts, kind of thing.
I think my biggest problem with when I come up with a strategy I think I want to do, I'm convinced everyone else will want to do it too. And so I was like, I have to get it done immediately because somebody else is going to come along and get this card that I want or these cards that I want. And then then it's too late and then I can't get it. And nobody's doing this. And yet I'm sitting here like, this has to get done today or else I'll never be able to get it done. And I know it's not right, but I do it.
There is always tomorrow. There is always tomorrow.
Have you looked at Challenger over the Christmas break? Because we were kind of talking about how obviously Celtic are going to be playing, and we saw it last year. Obviously, the prize pool gets a lot smaller because not a lot of people are playing. Streaks are still going, but are you looking at that from a reward standpoint, or is it just Celtics playing? I'm going to be able to play.
Yeah, it's definitely something I've looked at. I was a bit bemused to see that this is the first year ever that Turkey are taking a bloody winter break. The scoundrels. So they miss like a week or two, December through January. Nothing major. Maybe it's 10 days. It's not much, but they don't have that perfect just running through like they used to. There is a wee break in there somewhere now. I forget precisely where it is, but that's why I decided to do both. I did the Scottish reinforcements as well because I seen the Turkey one like, help me a wee bit, like going into the period and maybe coming out of it, but in the thick of it, it won't. So I kind of look at it a little bit, and I think every league is like that where it has its own little crease and you need to be ready to maximize it, because even though the prize pool is reduced, etc., still talking about maybe winning a bag of essence, which could lead to anything. And it could be streak number 5 or 4 or, so, I'm always reminded early season, we always get that, it's happened already, but we always get that first game week of the year where Portugal are playing their cups at the weekend and it catches everyone by surprise every year where it's like, there's no Benfica this weekend, Scotland has one normally around the same time, but the Portuguese one's always first. And, that comes back because those Portuguese teams will get midweeks later on. I don't know the calendar that well to say it's always happens in the spring or whatever it is, but there'll be a period of time where whatever league it is you're hunting in gets some sort of little crease to its own, a little island game week here or there, or a little favourable matchup. And if you're in a league or in a club, you need to do everything on those ones to hit it, cover your bases or get that captain player in, whatever it is you're missing or you might not have. So that's part of the edge that the competition should give you.
It's funny you bring up the Portugal thing because came back from the last international break, and the first weekend were cup matches, and it's happening again like this weekend. And again, I have Sporting, Benfica, and Porto, and I bought Fenerbahce. I got the Fener collection at the October international break because I looked ahead and I was like, oh, Portugal has no matches. And so I bought the Fener stack just to try to get the first streak. I'm pretty sure I failed, but it was like, well, I have this now. I have 4 that go, but then I literally opened it up today to do lineups, and I was just like reminding them, like, oh, that's right, they don't have anything this game week. But then that started me thinking, just like what you said, SPFL kind of in the Christmas period, if they're the only ones playing, streaks will still go on, but prize pools will be lower. And so I was wondering how much you were going to focus on making, and you don't even need to focus on making sure you have lineups, because like obviously you have the SPFL cards. I assume you have all of the ones that you want, or do you not?
No, there's maybe like 1 or 2 like non-Celtic guys I would buy just for not really fun necessarily, but maybe like those bottom teams I'm talking about, just give them a bit more purpose and punch, you know.
That means like your bottom teams, not the bottom teams in Scotland.
Yeah, so so like the team where normally I'd have like Celtic guys off the bench, could I get a starting midfielder from one of their teams I've had my eye on for a tenner and just throw him in probably throughout that period? So I'll probably do some bits and bobs like that. But I've got like I got the 1 of 100 Braga. I was right off the mark for Braga this year. I heard a lot of good reports on him pre-season. I got a McGrath in season. I've had some Celtic transfers like Welsh and Montgomery went around the league, so I had their cards in season in collection anyway. And yeah, just bits and bobs like that. There's maybe 1 or 2 guys like that. They're not like big, oh, I'm going to go get Swallow or Shankland or something like that, you know, but just guys that they're fun, they're good, and if they make team 6 better, brilliant.
Makes sense. Mike said, I'm sure Portugal do that on purpose with the cup immediately after the winter break, the international break. I assume so. It would be quite coincidental if it happened twice and they were just like, oh, who knew?
Yeah.
Anyway, quick break here because we had some pitch notes come out just now, Quinny.
Lovely.
You probably noticed, but we can see it here that they've added match odds to the lineup builder. Match probabilities, powered by an external provider. So these are in the lineup builder right now. I was talking about it with Harry earlier. It is available in the classic view and the advanced view. I know Harry is a classic view user. Which one do you use? I haven't watched the lineup building video in a while.
Classic.
Oh man, is it just you love looking at the cards?
Yeah, I need the faces. It's
fair. I have a couple players where I have 2 of them, and I always want to use like the jersey mint first, and I almost always click the wrong one. And then I'm zooming in, and I'm like, which one? Oh, okay. Let me. Anyway, they also have this jump to competitions button. If anybody has not noticed this on your lineups, here on the right side, you can just click the logo, and it'll stream all the way down to the lineups you're looking for.
That's been brilliant.
Let's see. Live status in the lineup. When building a lineup, player status, starter, bench, or DNP is now displayed as soon as we receive the data. Perfect for building arena lineups during live game weeks. We'll soon add an option to filter by starters at a glance. So I think this is something that they had on missions for a while, right? But just not in the lineup builder for arena. So excellent. My Circle hot streaks. Track your friend's hot streak progress more clearly with a new detailed view of the My Circle page. Total cash amounts displayed now include the hot streak winnings. Good job to come on, you Gunners here. $859. Anyway, new common daily boost mission. We now have access to a 6th daily boost mission. Collect a 5-star player. You only need to complete 5 of the 6 missions to win all available wheel tickets. This means you can still secure tickets on a day where you can't play the decisive picker because no matches are being played. You do much common stuff, Quinny?
Every day. Yeah.
Every day.
I've actually got a short that I need to release. I made a video about it, but there's a wee short that goes with it. But like common mode is like the first 5 minutes of my day. Like after I've brushed my teeth, I'll go outside for a cigarette, and then I'll just stand on my phone for 4 minutes and do all the common stuff. And then choke slam a kid or flush them down the toilet or whatever I need to do, or get them out their bed and get them ready.
Is that for every comp?
No, it's just common. It's just common
No, sorry,
missions.
but like, do you do the collections too, or just the missions?
Yeah, I do everything common. Literally takes like I timed it and did a screen record for like the little video I made, but I literally 5 minutes. It just click, click, click. Everything. I see the little common missions. There'll be 6 of them soon, but there's like 5 of them. And if you just click on the mission, it just takes you to the screen to do the thing. You don't need to do anything, and then you just go back, and then you're there, do the next one. And honestly, it takes 4 to 5 minutes. And yeah, I just enjoy it. I kind of also I try and keep myself involved in all the common stuff just for content and that kind of thing. But and I say this all the time, but I genuinely mean it. I can't say it's been a huge amount or it's led to anything crazy, but the amount of little things I've uncovered over seasons of messing about with common cards is more than enough to keep me just at least with my finger in it a little bit, just to because like I was again chatting about this somewhere, but there's a guy in the Bundesliga that's been doing okay this year called Manzambi, and he plays for Freiburg. Okay. And his L10's good, you know, it's not too bad. And I noticed on my Twitter timeline he's been getting a lot of love and stuff like that. And I was thinking, where the hell do I know that guy from? And like he, Pavlovic, and El Khanous have been the only usable common Bundesliga midfielders I've had until maybe like 2 weeks ago or something. And it was that is where I knew him from. And then I looked at his scores after. I don't really check the common scores. I just kind of put them in there and forget about them. And then I seen him on my thing, and then I went and looked at his scores. I'm like, bloody hell, man, this guy's hitting. This guy's hitting some numbers. And I mean, I was a bit late to him because I waited for Twitter to tell me he was good. But had I paid attention to my common teams, I would have said, Jesus, man, that guy hit 70. You know, he's hit 60 this week. And Manzambi, I want to say, plays for Freiburg. Johan.
Yeah. Oh.
Swiss international now as well, I think. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, 70 against Frankfurt, 80 against Nice. Not too bad. Yeah, he's all right, isn't he? But again, if you're on a budget and you're just using this common guy because you've got him or Pavlovic and El Khanous, you know, and you just end up using him. You find him before he kind of the price. Maybe I don't know if you can see the price chart if it really tells you much in this way, but before he gets one of those 70s or 80s, you can get him in a bit cheaper. It's just some of the edges you need in this game. And then, you know what happens, Laird? You see some timeline post and someone's smashed first place, and they're like, who the hell are these players? And why did they pick them? And how did they know how to pick them? And you get no idea where it came from. And, you know, you need to find as many of those guys as you can by any means that you've got.
What are the odds that he came off the bench and scored twice against Sweden, like in 2 different games?
Oh, wow. Wow. That is cool.
Public enemy number 1 in Stockholm. Anyway, what else? So crafting clue usage choice. When using a clue in crafting, you can choose between using essence or consuming a clue item you already own.
Nice.
I did that last week, which is excellent. Oh, wheel history. When tapping on rewards, you now have full visibility over your past wheel spins and rewards.
Cool.
And use the XP and essence panels on the bottom left to select which scarcity you want displayed. Oh, instead of just the total. Okay. You can also jump directly to crafting from essence or the essence panel or gallery leveling. So all of this right here.
Awesome.
Mission reward choice, essence flavor display on web. You'll now see the essence flavor when you're offered a reward choice after completing a mission. And a missions update. Starting with Game Week 29, which is this weekend, you can no longer select the same card in multiple picker missions running at the same time. This applies to every mission type, play and collect, which encourages better strategy decisions, more pick diversity, and fairer reward distribution. The card can still be used in a picker and in a lineup at the same time. You just can't use the same card in 2 pickers that are live simultaneously.
Are we allowed to boo that on this channel?
Sure.
Boo.
Boo. Mission score and stats freeze. We recently updated how mission scores and stats are frozen. When a player card is used in a picker mission, its score and stats are now locked 5 minutes after the end of the game. Previously, it was 30 minutes. These locked scores and stats determine whether your mission succeeds or fails. Any adjustments made by a provider after this freeze, whether increasing or decreasing, will not affect the outcome of your mission. That's it. Keep your feedback coming. Every idea helps us make Sorare better for all managers. Quinny's idea is to not have the ability, or to return the ability to use the same card in multiple missions.
Yep. Dominic Soboslai was a hero this international break for me. Tackling and scoring 80 points and passing and did all sorts of cool stuff.
And they lost.
Yeah. I got some essence and some credits. It was all right.
There you go.
Moan the Irish.
What's that?
Moan the Irish.
John Nellis was very excited, I saw.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of why. I mean, obviously the why is just so we have more cards. It didn't feel like they were giving. Maybe they're giving out way more rewards than I thought. With your one Dominic Soboslai, you just took them to the cleaners.
Yeah, perhaps.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm excited to try this lineup builder because like the odds are really the only thing that I felt was missing, and now
if you use the concept builder, the new concept builder equivalent.
Not really, because I almost don't want to know what cards I don't have. Like, it's almost too tempting.
I found it very useful for my Bundesliga thing. Again, I covered it in a video last week for anyone that missed it, wants to catch it out. But it was very helpful for just mapping out, I have Lukeba. I've just crafted Julian Brandt. I've got this classic goalkeeper. And then what do I need? And then you just flip to that market tab. And you can only see the primary market, sadly. But you can, as long as they're on the primary, which for Unlimited isn't really a problem. At Rare, it's a bit different. But you can kind of just plug and play and have a look at the team. And one thing I kind of mentioned, I think I did a bit of it live. Yeah, I think I did it live and it went out as a clip kind of video piece later. But it's like it gave me a good opportunity to sit back and look at the team and go, do I want to buy those guys to make this a team? If you get me. Like actually seeing it in front of me. Am I desperate to play this team next weekend? Should I go out and buy the guys to make this team a reality? And that allowed me to kind of tweak it a bit better. And I think make some better decisions with the cards I eventually ended up getting. Because it's like, again, sometimes with these strategies, you write down a bit of paper, you build a watch list, you scout the market, and you think, oh yeah, that guy looks good, and oh yeah, this will work together. And then you buy 6, 7 of them, and you go to build the lineup, and then you look at it and you go, why did I do that?
Yeah.
Why have I got these guys? Like that, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. So I found it quite useful to like make sure, like you're actually going to be happy with the team when you're building it, which is, I think, is an important factor. And then you think to yourself, rather than buying those 3 defenders, I should have just bought this one guy and bought that extra mid. Or, when it's actually in your hands, you then feel your mistakes more. Whereas these things, I always find them useful to try and get ahead of that.
So you were doing this to finish a lineup or to start a brand new one?
To start a brand new one, yeah. So at the time, I only had the classic keeper, Lukeba, and then 2 in-season mids. So I just put them in the team. And then with the forward category, jumped around and had to look at the market on that tab. I opened a new tab to look at the secondary market because, like I said, we're Rare. It's not quite as slick as it might be at Limited, just because Limited's got more availability on cards, primary market. But yeah, I found it really good because, like, again, like, do I want to submit this as a team? Nah, not really. I don't want this budget cheap striker. He's not good enough. I need a good striker on a budget. It's kind of, you kind of, rather than just looking at it and go, oh, what guy can I buy? And then you just run out, oh, he's 30 quid, he'll do, and then.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's interesting that you put it that way because you're right. Being able to just see it all, like, do I want to spend?
Would I buy this? Yeah.
Right. Would I buy this? Right.
Especially when it's like 1 or 2 guys to make the rest of it happen. Because maybe those guys play Champ Classic for me or something else. And it's like, is this the team to put that Bruno Fernandes Classic in?
Right.
For you? I'm just thinking about you because you've got that there, Is that worth putting him in here to surround him with these guys? Yes, it is. Okay, cool, let's do it. Or, yeah, I don't really like Declan Rice that much. I don't think it's going to be that reliable or, you could be talking about anyone, but I think you get what I'm driving at.
Yeah, that's cool.
Especially if you've been like crafting or something, you've only got a few cards along the way. I think it's quite good for like feeling it. Like, how far away am I? What can I? Because like I mentioned before, like I realized quite quickly, I'm really glad I've got Lukeba, because if I had just some random tier 2, tier 1 defender, like it's not the same as having a guy like that at the back, where you know, right, well, he's going to be good for 60 to 70 most weeks, which is pretty good, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I see the 33s in there, fine, but like,
Well, I mean,
he gave me a lot of confidence to build on top of it. Cause it's like, well, he's already a pretty good going, you know. It's not like he was a 52 merchant, and I see the 52 there. Don't get me wrong, but you know, so yeah,
I would look at this and say, well, the first one was against Bayern Munich, so you're probably not all that comfortable playing. So it's really just one poor game.
yeah.
And let's see. Yeah, just not much going. I don't know if there's something happened to Leipzig, but yeah, he's part of my rookie card challenge. I have his rookie card.
That's a nice one as well.
It's a nice.
Because I was close to like selling Lukeba and the other Bundesliga guys and like not doing that strategy, but having Lukeba made it like closer to, yeah, I should probably actually try this out, you know. And I guess the kind of the punchline of all of that is that Bundesliga strategy, because I've built it organically. I've named the team Organic Farming, so I've like crafted the Lukeba, crafted Brand, crafted Cone, but turned him into Damon, and then somebody else I've crafted or whatever. I end up paying for the other guys. I've not actually, like, I've managed to trade my way into the whole team or craft the whole team.
Yeah.
From other crafts, essentially. So I'm quite happy to, like, rather than selling the guys for a profit and having that be the ROI of the strategy, the ROI is going to be anything that they pull, you know, like, because the team has been put together organically from my essence crafting and whatever, you know. So if it streak 2 4 times this year, then that'll be the profit that some of the stuff earned for me.
What was the thought process that led you to decide that Lukeba was good enough to build around?
That I could pick him every week and not care. Like you say, the Bayern game, like you say, if he gets that, you accept it. But you're not scared to play him against Bayern. He can still get a last man tackle. He can still score a goal. He could, you know, still be pretty decent. He's not at the bottom of the league team. I do also really like the fact that Leipzig don't have European football this year. So he's just weekend to weekend, you know, not needing to worry about midweek rotations and hangovers and minute management. So there's a little bit of that goes into his detail personally. But like a guy like that, you can just I don't care. They're playing Hoffenheim, Bremen, and Gladbach in the next 3 games. Is he playing? Yes or no? Like, he goes in, you know, and that's good enough. Brandt, you need to care about if he's fit. Svanberg, it turns out, is maybe a wee bit further in the pecking order than I would like. That's why I got Reader. And Asllani, I just was a good price for. I think he was right in budget with. So what? Oh no, what I did was to get Asllani, is I had a Bundesliga Unlimited team that I built for the Duo Connect mission, which I hit with all the managers that kind of jumped onto Team Quinny for that. So when I realized I was going to do this, I was like, I'm not going to play Unlimited Andrea. So I actually did quite a sea change actually, because I sold all the Bundesliga Limiteds I had, and they basically bought Asllani and Reader between the two of them.
Yeah.
So again, it made that kind of step up. It was a bit of a clean transition in some ways as well. Maybe a parallel people could draw for themselves, perhaps. But I didn't do that I already had that foothold and already made the decision. Oh, I'm going to stick with this as a team, and then it was easy to do that. If I'd sold all the limiteds and went, right, let's buy some rares with it, it would not went anywhere near as far, obviously.
Sure.
And then you're halfway down the river without a paddle, as they say. So, yeah.
I'm pretty sure I crafted a Brandt rare and a Brandt limited this year.
I think I've crafted Brandt before. Like, Brandt's a good card, but you just know he's going to get in. Him and Golovin are like soulmates or something. You know, they're like connected through the ether of football, where they'll play for 2 months and be decisive mad, but they're always going to get injured for 2 months or something like that. You know, they just constantly go through these cycles. And I see on my channel all the time, the best time to buy Golovin is when he's injured, because he'll always come back and he'll be good. but you can't buy him when he's back and he's good because he's too expensive because he's going to get injured. So the best time to buy Golovin, the best time to buy Brandt is when they're already injured because that's just the way it is.
Mike's pointed out also this video is out now, so everybody can go over to Quinny's channel.
That's a members one.
There you go.
Yeah.
This is the channel. Go check it out. Let me drop the link here in the
Thanks very much.
chat.
Sorry, be kind.
I assume most people here are subscribed already, but go check that out. Yeah, now we have something to watch later.
Yeah, I don't look at that page too often. It's funny to see from somebody else's desktop.
It's funny you say that because I look at my channel all the time, mostly just because I use that to like look at. That's just where I start to look at views and stuff like that. And Harry's was the same way. He's like, "Oh, I never look at my like homepage or something like that." And I was like, "Oh,
yeah, never on my yeah." It's always the studio app I use. I'm never on the actual page. But yeah, that's out now.
Oh man, I had a follow up on that and I forget where I was going. Oh, that reader guy. I scouted Mert Comer early in the season because Comer was taking all the set pieces for Augsburg, and then they signed Reader and he started, and I was just like, oh, he ruined Comer. Well,
yeah. I was kind of close. I was kind of aware of him because Celtic were linked to him to replace Matt O'Reilly, and then he went to France. Who did he play for before? Was it Rennes actually?
Yes.
Or was it Nice? Rennes.
Rennes.
So when they signed him, I was kind of like, oh, he might be better in Germany than France. And I think he's been all right. He's got some good scores. That's why I got him.
He's been all right.
Yeah, he's been fine. Like again, for £20 for a rare. Again, if you're playing limited, there's £20 midfielders you'll be buying anyway. And if you're kind of rare curious, maybe you don't get. I'm trying to think of somebody better than him by a mile, but you're maybe not going to get Baumgartner. I know he's probably not the guy, but like Baumgartner limited at £20. Maybe buy the Reader rare at £20.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's not a great example because Baumgartner's not that great, but yeah, he likes a decisive. That's he's like Julian Brandt, but fit. If Julian Brandt's fit, that's what you get, isn't it? That's a fit Julian Brandt right there.
Well, I just remember when he joined, he scored immediately, then had an assist, 2 assists, like 3 or 4 decisives, and then the 53 without a decisive is pretty. And these are internationals. That's right, he plays internationally too. Switzerland, yeah. And then the tough games against Leipzig and Dortmund, you kind of expect that. And then bounces back with a goal against Stuttgart.
So yeah, he was Julian Brandt insurance essentially.
Smart.
I need to get a classic forward though, because I realized I have no classic Bundesliga forwards at all. So despite having 2 Leipzig collections under my belt, Leipzig collections are not blessed with forwards, and as it turns out, none of them stayed in the Bundesliga very long anyway. So it's the only thing I'm kind of missing. So, but otherwise, that little Finn strategy, was it like 5 cards or something?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll just play that. If I craft any more, brilliant. I'm probably not going to buy much more into it, but I'm really happy for the most part for that to go out and try and just pull in some organic farming for me.
So when you craft, are you adamant about using like league clues to make sure you get Bundesliga cards, or?
Well, I've been doing that all season long. I've been very adamant on clues as often as practical, because I don't want rewards that are useless to me. Like I think that's the benefit of the crafting system that I'm trying to enjoy for myself, and I think a lot of people undervalue, in the sense that I've had just as much as you, Laird. I don't know how many tier 5 and tier 4 rewards you've opened up and just threw in the trash, just absolute bot food. I don't want any more of them, and if I can make sure that I'm not going to get a guy from a league that is totally useless to me, then in my mind, I'm not like, a craft isn't 1,000, it's 1,500. That's how I get going, because I'm not crafting out of these leagues. I don't want to. I only want to craft in the Challenger region, or now, like I'm kind of happy for any champ card, because again, I could trade it, could sell it, Bundesliga and use it. So I'm kind of happy for any one of them. But I think if you are just if you are just crafting blind all the way, all the time, like you're kind of not really gaining the benefit of the system for me, And again, I throw cards back all the time. Like you just got to think of it as like, if you got, they give you an XP option now, don't they? But imagine they showed you that little tier 5 and they said you can have him or 200 essence. I'm picking 200 essence every bloody time, you know, like, so I try and be quite, just plain with myself, that I want to win good cards, and I'm not going to save up essence to just throw it away blind. Oh, let's just pick number 4. Like, and oh, what a surprise that the guy's absolutely trash. Okay, well, on to the next one. Essence is hard for me to get. It's hard for most people to get, you know, and like, yeah, I'm pretty adamant. Clue at every opportunity possible. Sometimes I'll just do it blind, but I'd say 3/4 to 80% got to have a clue in there.
I love that thinking of, would you rather this card or 200 essence? Because I certainly look at it as I just lit 800 on fire, but
yeah,
but maybe it's just an attitude adjustment I need.
There you go.
I will say, firstly, I'm shocked you don't have like a classic Luis Diaz.
Why?
It just seems like somebody you would have had for literally the last 6 years, you know, with 53,000 XP on it, or
yeah.
But I guess not. I found Bundesliga forward exceptionally hard since I refused to buy Kane, Olise, and Diaz. And I almost bought a Diaz Classic, but I haven't yet. But other than that, you're just like, Andre Kramaric is just as good, and there nobody else. The one guy I thought of it when you mentioned the Leipzig thing. Antonio Nusa has been really good, and his classic cards are forwards, but his in-season cards, and maybe the last 2 seasons, are midfielders. And so you have to kind of like go back to his Bruges cards to get like a forward version. I think they're Bruges. That's where he was, right?
Yeah, he's a Bruges rookie, Nusa.
Yeah.
But yeah, forward is a really hard part of it. I ended up getting that Asllani because he was in budget, and earlier that day or the day before, I maybe seen 2 or 3 Twitter posts about him, talking about like he was looking the part and he was doing really well. Maybe Bayern are sniffing around him or something. So when I seen he was in budget and stuff, I just went and double checked the Twitter thread. Was it him that I was looking at? And it was him. So I just thought, oh, that's good. There's some hype about him. Hoffenheim score goals. You just mentioned Kramaric. And he was cheaper than Kramaric. He was like £30, £40. Kramaric is like double that. So it just felt like a good get. Might have a bit of a ceiling, might have some growth in him. And yeah, it wasn't too expensive.
Gerassi's one. So this will be my final question for you.
Sure.
So I have 3 Bundesliga lineups. We're just talking about how bad they're limited in season. We're just talking about how bad the forwards are in the Bundesliga. If I want to buy a Serhou Guirassy, do I buy the in-season limited or the classic rare to finish off my Ren collection?
Do you know, I seen the classic rare Ren is on sale for £50 now. I was very close to buying it myself. Very close. Very close. So
there were 2 of them when I looked last week.
Was there? I didn't look into it in detail. It was always the top one that came up on the market display when you're in the secondary market. So I just seen it was there. Oh, he's not the cheapest anymore.
No. I wonder if one's sold, because there were definitely 2 of them.
I would definitely buy the classic.
No, it didn't sell. Okay. I mean, obviously, if I buy the classic, it comes with 5% collection bonus immediately.
Yep.
We'll see.
And if the rest of the team's in season, you know, you're not really.
Yeah, it is. No, that would be like my one classic card as part of it.
Yeah. I could get. I know I was kind of saying like earlier with the Hakimi and stuff like you kind of want to use them at rare, but like the reality of the situation is the reality of the situation. You know, like if you need that card anyway, like don't buy unlimited in season one. Like just buy the rare one that you want anyway and use it as you desire. You know,
the limited in-season floor is $37, and the classic rare floor is now $60. That's actually much different than it was.
Yeah, but then that limited in season when that becomes a classic,
yeah,
is no use to you. You know, like collection wise or anything. A difference in price. Yeah, just take the rare.
Yeah, I might.
Because it's not the floor anymore. Some direct offers later. I know you're a hustler. I don't need to tell you that, but you might get it a wee bit cheaper than what is displayed. Or as
I would absolutely never pay what's displayed. Heavens no. Heavens no.
I'm a buy now freak. I've paid too much for too many cards because of that. I see the thing you're saying before, like you think, oh, someone else is doing this. I'm just more like, this card will be bought. Like maybe not the whole strategy thing where I better go do everything before somebody else beats me to it. But every individual card I'm looking at, if it's something like that Jurassic, I'm like, oh, I'm good. Next time I look, it'll be gone. You know, or that's on an individual basis.
That's part of mine. The whole strategy will be taken because this one card that I need will get taken.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see. Maybe if I win enough this weekend, I'll go grab one. You got anything else?
Yeah, I've got kids football training to go to now.
Perfect timing then.
Yeah,
Thank you to everybody for coming. If you could please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Shout out to this guy right here. Go over to Quinny 3001 channel. The link is in the live chat. I'll put it in the description of the video as well, just because everyone who is interested in Sorare should be watching Quinny's content and subscribing to his channel, become a member, all that good stuff. So Quinny, great to talk to you after going 2 days without streaming with you. And yeah, thanks everyone for coming. Good luck in this midweek. Club football is almost back. Don't worry. It's right there, right there. Don't forget to go outside.
Thanks.